Hello everyone and welcome to our tutorial on how to access and use the polls feature for Microsoft Teams. Alright, so let's access that polls feature. And the first thing we have to do is make sure that we are in a Microsoft Teams meeting or a chat. Really, ideally, this is going to work best for a Teams meeting. So when you set something up with your students, they'll be able to check this out. We have to make sure that we have polls right here on our screen. If we do not see polls right here, and again, it could be at the top of the screen, it could be at the bottom of the screen, depending on how you have your view option set up right here. I have mine at the top. I can simply click polls. If you don't see polls here, that's probably because you haven't added the app yet. We need to make sure that we click here to add an app. Polls will be right there. You just click it, follow through the steps, make sure you click save. So once we get to that point, we can see our polls button. We are ready for the next step. So step 2 is to actually create a poll. So once we click this button right here for polls, it's going to open up this little sidebar for us here. We'll see a few options right away. The first option we see at the top is to create a new poll. This little guy right here means to reuse a previous poll. And this button right here asks for suggestions. Today, for what we want to show you is we want to show you how to actually create your own poll. So we're going to click right here where it says new poll. We click that, and then this is where the magic happens. We have several choices. We can do multiple choice, we can do a quiz, word cloud, some kind of a rating, and then a ranking. So when we look at this, it depends on really what you want to get from your students and the type of information you want. Ultimately, for me, I use multiple choice a lot, so we'll go ahead and click on multiple choice. You type in your question. Your question could vary depending on what you want to know. This could be any question. For example, how do you feel about the content? Maybe they're feeling confident. Maybe they feel terrible. Maybe if we run out of options, we just click this button right here to add a third option. Maybe they feel somewhat terrible. And then maybe they feel somewhat confident. Then there's really no correct possible choice here. But if we needed to, we could insert media. We do not have to do that. You can allow multiple selections if need be. One more thing I wanted to draw your attention to was right down here under the settings. When you click on the settings, this gives you options for how you want the poll to show up to everybody. So click those boxes however you want to click them and set your settings up however you want to set them up. Now this is the important piece here. You can either save it as a draft, which means we'll save it for later, or we can click launch now and it will immediately launch our survey, our poll. I'm going to go ahead and click save as draft. Okay, and then if you look right here on our screen, it popped up and we can eventually launch that, which is the next step. Alright, so we have our poll right here. Now we just need to launch it so that our students or whoever's on the other end can see it. Very simply, we click the launch button right here. It automatically pops up here for everyone to see, including yourself. You can, as the faculty member or teacher, the person presenting, go ahead and click and hit submit. Okay, and then it tells you right away, it shows you as the responses come in what people are feeling about your content or whatever the question is. And this will populate pretty close to real time as people respond. Now, the results are shared. Everyone will see this on their own screen, as well as if they are watching your screen. If you have your screen shared, they'll be able to see it too. You can see that your settings are listed right up here at the top. Names are not recorded. The results are shared though. So you go through, you leave this up as long as you need to, and then we're ready for the next step. So when you are done, you simply click done right here and your question will disappear from your screen. If you're sharing your screen, your students won't see it anymore, but they will actually see it on the side of their screen if you still have the poll open. Then we click this little drop down menu right here. We can close the poll. We can see the response details. By clicking on that, it just simply opens up our poll again. So this screen here tells us everyone who responded. If we had in our settings the students' names, it would have collected the names here and we could have seen all of the students' details. Then we can export this poll data if we needed to. So yeah, it just automatically downloads our poll and we can take a look at those later. That is this screen here if we needed to look at that information. The other thing we can do is we can export the results directly from here. We don't have to actually go in to look at the response details, or we can just delete the poll altogether. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and delete this poll. Yes, I want to go ahead and delete it. Now, let's say I go through this class and it's the next day. I realize that my students didn't really feel confident in the data, so we reviewed and I want to do that same poll again. Well, that's where this little guy comes into play right here. This is basically a recent poll button. We click on that and look at that. It's right there at the top. So there's our poll right there on top where we had it. We ultimately just click on it. It pops back up. We can launch it right now, or we can save it as a draft and launch it later if we're doing a bunch of front-end planning. So that's our presentation on using Microsoft Teams with the polls feature. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.